This is going to be very fun. You know, a lot of times I'm on the road. I can't make Mesa Morning Live. And when I can't, we go to an unbelievable substitute. This guy, I guess he's got a lot of free time being the mayor of Mesa. But he's going to be our next guest. SRP is today's show sponsor, and they have generously donated their time on stage so we can have two very special guests in their place. Please put your hands together and welcome the mayors of Mesa, Arizona and Yuma, Arizona. Please welcome John Giles and Douglas Nicholls.
Morning.
Mayor Nicholls, good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Giles, always good to see you.
Glad you could make it today.
Yeah.
I know how busy you are.
He comes out swinging, man. I love, and we are going to do a day where I take his place. We're going to make Mesa great again.
Come on down. All right.
No, I think you've done a nice job of that. Well, welcome. Good to have you here. You're a frequent flyer here. You're here all the time. Welcome. I believe this is your first meeting of Mesa, Arizona.
Yes, it is.
I'm so excited I can't even talk. of Mesa Morning Live. Welcome, and tell us what's going on in Yuma.
There's a lot going on in Yuma. How long is your show?
I got a couple of minutes.
A couple minutes? Wow. Well, for that point, then I'll just try to condense it down. We've been growing fairly fast. Our industry has been expanding in a lot of different areas. We're named in the top 25 communities or cities in the country by USA Today as one of the fastest growing jobs in a city for 2017. So things are moving. Things are moving in a great direction. We've redeveloped our downtown. We've got a lot of vitality on our university and higher education front. So things are very active right now.
That's awesome. Give us a little background on yourself. Where you from, and did you go to school, all that kind of good stuff?
Sure. I was born in New Jersey, because you can tell by the accent.
Of course.
And I grew up in Yuma. So I lived in Yuma, went to Yuma High. Criminals, if there's any criminals there. Thank you very much. I knew there'd be at least one.
We have a long list of criminals here.
Different kind of criminals. This is another USA Today thing, but we get Yuma High criminals is a long tradition in Yuma. But I attended Arizona State University. I actually lived in Mesa for about 2 years until my wife and I returned to Yuma in 1999. And I have an engineering company there in Yuma, and we do civil engineering around the state in California. And I just got reelected in my second term as mayor of Yuma.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Big round of applause. Mayor Giles, man, Mesa is in the news a lot. Tell us what's going on in Mesa. Tell us about the Mesa Industry and Defense Council and how that came about and where it's going.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the Mesa Industry and Defense Council. This is actually an idea that the genesis of this goes to Senator John McCain. Senator McCain, as you might expect, is very familiar with the Mesa economy and some of the major employers here, and he made a brilliant observation, which is that Mesa has really more than its share of large defense contractors. Boeing, MD Helicopter, Orbital, you know, a lot. If you could really fill the room, as we have this morning, with folks that have jobs that are tied to the defense industry and to major industries. So he made the suggestion to our great chamber president, Sally, that maybe we ought to focus some attention on that and provide some additional resources, and that would be a good way to market, help them in ways such as taking trips to Yuma to explore potential partnerships with the Yuma Proving Grounds. So it's like I say, sometimes it takes somebody like Senator McCain to come to Mesa and see the obvious, which is, did you guys realize that this is a particularly strong part of your community that you ought to maybe organize a little better? And kudos to the chamber for responding to that suggestion.
Well, I hear it. I mean, it's maybe the reason no one ever thought about it before is there's never been anything like this. This is unique to the country.
No, yeah, as far as we know, this is the only city that has something like this, where we focus on that in particular industry, on the defense contractor industry, and do what we can to encourage and support them.
That's great. Well, you know what? I think a lot of this is the genesis was Senator McCain, but thanks for spearheading this and being the mayor that makes it all happen. So Tell us a little bit about the proving grounds in Yuma.
Sure. So Yuma has two military installations, the Marine Corps Air Station Yuma, and then the U.S. Army Yuma Proving Ground. So focusing on the Proving Ground, that's the mission of the Proving Ground is to test anything that our warfighters need in the field. So from the stitching on boots to tanks to munitions, all get tested at the Army facility there in Yuma. There's 2,500 roughly employees. A third of them are Department of Defense and or military, and then the 2/3 are contractors. And they run through a series of different type of environmental tests. And the Proving Ground actually extends to Alaska and all the way down to Panama in Central America for the different weather testing. So obviously, they're in Yuma, particularly for the hot weather testing. So the summer is our busiest time of year. Yet the environment, the dusty environment, emulates a lot of the theaters that our men and women have been fighting in the last 20 years. So we spend a lot of time in those testing environments. Matter of fact, they've built a facility that's a replica of a town so that they can test whether it's working dogs or how vehicles can navigate through a community, all within the facility. The Proving Grounds is very, very large. You can fire any munition except for an ICBM, and it would stay within the confines of the Proving Grounds. It's larger than the state of Rhode Island. It has restricted airspace to 2,000 miles, so it's essentially restricted airspace. You can't fly over it and without all sorts of permissions and such. So that gives us an opportunity to do a lot of amazing things. You know, currently, a lot of the industry going, everyone's talking about drones. We've been talking about drones since the 50s. It's just the rest of the world's catching up. That's been spearheaded out at YPG since the 50s. GPS, everyone's got that on their phones. That was tested and ran through the paces during the 70s out at YPG. So there's this natural connection between what's happening here in Mesa with the defense industry and in Yuma Proving Grounds. We have the ability with the manufacturing here in Mesa and the testing in Yuma to have kind of everything being taken care of for the defense industry in the state of Arizona. And I think that's best for everybody. It keeps the business here, it creates a stronger relationship statewide, and we can be more responsive because there is quite a bit, as you can imagine. You send something out in the field for our military to use, maybe they find something they want to tweak, it's got to go back through the same process. Well, if we're right next to the manufacturing, there's that ability to say, okay, let's tweak this, see how it tested out, and get right back to it within a day, as opposed to dragging it all the way over to Maryland or wherever it's going to go for testing.
Well, that's awesome. Now I know Sally's put together a trip. There's going to be like a field trip coming from Mesa to Yuma. What's going on with that?
Yes, basically this is kind of take the industry experts here in Mesa and bring them to Yuma to show what the assets we have. The assets in Yuma are extensive, but it's one of those things it's not like going to a city where we're all in one spot and you can see everything going on. So this is the ability to open up the facility, get tours, see where we blow things up, see where we test this, and there's a lot of blowing things up at YPG.
That's awesome.
It is kind of the fun part of the job.
Except for a guy from Jersey, come on.
Right. I mean, who doesn't want to blow things up? And so it'll be that ability to help establish those relationships, see where the synergies exist that we can work together, keep business in the state, and hopefully grow the industry, not just keep it here, but let's grow it.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, Mayor Giles, what's kind of shifting gears a little bit back to Mesa? What's 2018 look like for the great city of Mesa?
Well, you know, when the economy is good, mayors look really good. And so the outlook for 2018 is great. Mesa, much like Yuma, Mesa continues to grow at a really fast pace. A couple of months ago, with the new census figures, Mesa moved from 38th largest to 36th largest city in the United States. That we're 500,000 people. We're actually at 485, but I tell people when the Cubs are playing a spring training game, we're 500,000 people.
That's right.
And so And a lot of that growth, is the folks that are involved in the defense industry, but there's a lot of other industries that are doing very, very well in Mesa. And we're at the State of the City. I guess I could plug that if you don't mind. It's going to be February the 6th. Tuesday. Love to have everyone come out to that. We'll talk for 50 minutes about all the good things that have happened and are about to happen in the city of Mesa.
Where is that? I know it's February 6th. Where is that?
It's going to be at the convention center. The chamber is registering people, so I would encourage you to go to the chamber website to purchase tickets to come to that. And it will be shown on Channel 11 and then rebroadcast and also on Facebook Live.
That's great. So is it one of the highlights? Now, be honest. When you get to come and sit behind the desk here, is this fun for you?
It is fun. Absolutely. The chamber is a great organization, and the people that come out to this event are a lot of fun. The people that come to the chamber events, they're here because they want to network and they want to interact and they care about the community. So I really enjoy being involved with this event and anything the chamber does.
Well, you do a great job of that. Yes, sir.
I didn't know we were at the plugging stage, so there's something I'd like to plug. So if that's okay?
Yes.
Are we okay with that? All right.
Sure.
So speaking of, thank you very much.
Mayor Giles slips me a 20 before the show.
Yeah, he gets paid a lot more.
Doug's good for it.
Put it on his account. So February 3rd.
He is from Jersey. Go ahead.
February 3rd, Yuma Proving Grounds is celebrating its 75th anniversary. It started in 1943 during World War II and it has been in operation since. Its mission's changed and it's grown. And there's a lot of mystery, even to those that live in Yuma. What is going on? We call it the big guns because they got these really big cannons that sit at the entrance. What's going on behind the big guns? And so they're opening up the doors, except for a few little minor projects they can't talk about or even acknowledge they exist. But they're going to show us everything that's going on, what they're blowing up and how they're blowing it up, what they're testing, the free fall school, which all the special forces go through. You'll be able to see some of that. You'll be able to see.
Wait a minute, don't gloss over that. What's the free fall school?
It is essentially a 16-foot diameter wind tunnel that is indoors, and anyone who goes through special forces, they go through the regular parachute training, but then they come to the free fall school at the proving ground, and they do night training, so they turn off all the lights. They do the high-low training, the high altitude, low opening, and they go through all this training so they can, I don't know if you've seen those, I forget the name of the company, but they've got the wind tunnel where you can go and you can pay $100 and you can fly.
They have one here, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's exactly the same technology, and these men and women, when they graduate from the program, they can do all those crazy flips and sits, and they spend weeks just training on how to fall correctly.
Wow. And have you done that?
I have. It is, the 2 minutes you're in there, it feels like an hour. It's a lot of work. So
kind of like being on this show.
It's kind of like that. A little bit like that. You don't have to
heat it up, and he hit it out of the park.
There you go.
We've worked together before. I don't know if you've noticed.
There's usually a drummer over here.
That's awesome. So
and there's a lot of different elements of the proving grounds like that are not really publicly and widely known, but there are opportunities for private industry to get engaged in their own private testing. We do testing not just for the U.S. military, but for the NATO, for the UN, and for governments all over the world come to Yuma for that testing. And private industries out there, NASA's out there. We have a lot of opportunity and a lot of things. So this is an opportunity on February 3rd. Again, back to my plug. I get my $20 worth.
Sure.
To open the doors, see the stats, understand what's going on, have a kind of a celebration of the success and the support that they provide for our warfighters.
As a pure tourism plug, why should the people in this part of Arizona visit Yuma? What's some fun stuff to do out there?
Well, we have a river. It's called the Colorado River. I don't know if you've heard about that one. So we've got great river activities, hiking. I don't know if you've noticed on a map, we're really, really close to Mexico. You can take a day trip into Mexico. We've got some of the best food in the state. I will jump out on that limb. There was some different, someone said, oh, there's one great Mexican food restaurant in Yuma. I said, one? There's just a lot. We have different events. We have Midnight at the Oasis is a 1,000-car show in March that every car is before 1976. So it's a great muscle car show. We do January, the end of this month. If you're a marathoner or half marathoner or thought about doing it, it's the, it's the flattest course that qualifies you for the Boston Marathon. We've got just a lot of events. If you go to visityuma.com, you'll see just a calendar of events packed top to bottom.
That's awesome.